Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And a good morning to you. It is time for Coffee Ann. On this Monday morning, it's January 2nd, 2023. First Coffee Ann in the new year. Thanks for joining us. This is Joe Callahan. Dave Richards is here. Good morning to you, Dave.
Yes, good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody, and good morning to our honored guest.
That would be Tom Ward. Good morning to you, Tom.
Good morning. How are you guys
Good.
today?
And a happy new year to you.
Honored, my gosh.
How about that first one in the new year?
Yeah, first show of the new year. I guess it is an honor for me. Yes, first show.
Did you make it up to midnight on New Year's Eve?
I did.
You did.
I don't know what my wife was watching, but I reminded her. I said, you want to watch the ball drop? She goes, do you? I said, it's not that important anymore.
They really don't even show you the ball dropping anymore.
No,
They just
they
show the
don't
big,
really.
no, it moves, but then they really just show the countdown,
Yeah.
which is right underneath where the ball lands.
Yes.
So it's not you can hardly even see it move. But my daughter wanted to watch it, and so you had your three choices this year.
What's that?
Of what to watch. There was the usual one on ABC.
Yes.
Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's
Yep.
Eve with Ryan Seacrest.
Even he must be in heaven looking down, saying, "I cannot believe my name has survived this long." But
Yes, and he
Sure, it's illegal.
And it still looks good, by the way.
Yes, and basically he's become the new Dick Clark. He's only on for half an hour. Someone else really does the other hosting to introduce the acts. He doesn't even do that.
Yeah.
So he just stands on that platform, got a couple of groups around him for that half an hour, and then he's done.
Wow.
Anyway, NBC had Miley Cyrus and Dolly Parton.
Well, there's an interesting combination.
Well, they're related.
Are they?
Miley always called her Aunt Dolly, but she's at least her godmother.
Okay. I didn't
So
know
there's
that.
a relation there. And then the other, I guess it was now, this is on CBS, was they had some country thing from Nashville.
Okay.
So you could watch that, and I didn't know any of the acts on ABC. I didn't know any of the acts with Miley other than Miley.
Yeah.
And Zach Brown was I knew that on the other one. I'm like,
Yeah.
I just I don't know these people anymore.
I know.
I remember when New Year's
Yeah.
Rockin' Eve used to actually have rock groups.
That's
used
right.
to perform.
That's right.
It's not like
They
that
were
anymore.
plugging records that were on the radio.
That's right. And it's
Right.
just not that way anymore. So, well, that's the way it goes. But I made it up to midnight. I was telling Dave we like to watch the Sci-Fi Channel.
Yep.
That's where the Twilight Zones are.
Yeah.
And so
My brother was talking about it. He says, "Do you remember the episodes To Serve Man?"
yes, I actually saw
gosh,
that
yeah.
one. Oh, that's
And
great.
the twist ending.
Yeah.
And it was funny because he texted all of us and he says, "This is my brother Dick, the oldest," and he says, "To Serve Man is on at 6:30," and then he puts he says something like, "But I'm not gonna spoiler alert. I'm not gonna tell anyone the ending." You know, it's like as if you wouldn't know the ending of that, that particular one.
Well, my daughter's still picking up on shows she hasn't seen. So when she sees what she hasn't seen, she likes to guess what's really going on.
Yeah.
And it's unbelievable because sometimes she'll get it. And there's an episode where a couple wake up. They were out at a party the night before. They had too much to drink. They woke up with a hangover. They're in a town where they don't recognize. No one's there. And all they're trying to do is to get out. And my daughter finally says, well, and you can hear a kid's voice laughing. Well, they're obviously in a dollhouse somewhere. And that's where they were. They were in a kid's plaything.
I remember that episode.
I'm like,
She
I
figured
said,
that
how
out.
did-
pretty-
yeah,
that's-
just like that. I'm like, how did you?
figure out. That,
I don't know how she could grasp it that quickly.
Yeah,
She got it about halfway through.
pretty good.
Yep. She's obviously in a playhouse somewhere. I think as soon as they knocked the tree over and it wasn't a real tree. I think
Oh
she
yes,
got it,
that's
she
right.
got
When
it
it
from
goes
there.
over, it just kind of tips over.
Yeah, it goes.
again.
It goes. It's paper mache. It's not even grass. It's paper mache on the bottom. It's
Yeah.
like- she goes. She's in a children's playhouse. I'm like, wow. You
Pretty
got
good.
it right. So very good. All right. So moving on. So Patriots can still get into the playoffs.
But why?
Now Dave
I know
didn't
we
see.
don't
Dave
share
didn't
the-
see the
anything
second
we
half.
have.
That is the
I
most
haven't-
profound comment I've heard in a while. But why?
And I didn't know if did you watch the whole game?
No.
All right. I watched the whole game, and I'm telling you,
They
I was
won
gone.
because I
about
fell asleep.
the middle, keep doing that, Dave. From about the middle of the first quarter on to about the middle of the fourth quarter,
Yeah.
dull. Like this team is dull. nothing is happening. Nothing's happening with the other team either. But
Yeah.
I'm
Thank
like,
goodness.
oh my gosh, it's just when is something going to happen? And again, they had to rely on the defense to spark something.
Yes. I
And they
see.
did.
I
They got
did see
an,
the
Kyle
highlight
Duggar got
reel.
an
I did
interception,
see
ran
the-
it back for a touchdown, and that got him going.
Right.
All right, great. And then Nick Folk missed an extra point.
Yeah.
I'm like,
that
oh. And then, okay, with 2 minutes to go, Miami's got the ball. They have to get a touchdown and a field goal. They can win the game.
Right.
Okay, they let them get a touchdown.
Yeah.
Now we have to rely on, well, it's going to be an extra, it's going to be an onside kick. You got to fall on it. I don't
Yeah.
care who it is.
Yeah.
And they did, so that worked out well. Did you know the Dolphins were on their third string quarterback?
I knew. Yes, I knew. Tua was that.
Tua was out for his
He's out.
concussion. Teddy Bridgewater comes in. On the ball that he threw as an interception, hurt his hand. Hit his hand on the helmet of somebody.
Oh, jeez.
Basically kind of broke his finger. So they had to go to their third string quarterback. I said, we cannot be beat by the third string quarterback.
So did that final touchdown for them come from
Came from the third string quarterback.
Third string quarterback.
And he was running around and running around and running around. He threw it, guys wide open in the end zone. Well, not wide open. I mean, it was a pretty
Yeah.
close play. But they still got it. I'm like, oh, my God, you're killing me. And but they move on. And I was telling Dave, okay, if they beat Buffalo, they're in. Cut and dry. If they lose, there's still another way they can get in. But like three things have to happen. Loss, somebody else has got to win. And I got to figure out how that actually works. But I'm just not sure. Of course, the Patriots are all saying the right things. Well, we're still in it, and we control our destiny. We just got to do is win. The only thing going for them is Buffalo. They're already in. They already clinched the AFC East. Then maybe they won't try as hard. They don't want to get hurt.
Put the better players in there.
yes.
Play them less.
Yeah.
Just to see.
Maybe they're only in for the first quarter, like that. So and maybe we can squeak out a victory up there in Buffalo. So
They
we'll
might
have to
even want
see.
the Patriots to win, saying they stink.
Unless-
let's let them into the playoffs. We don't want to take a chance
can
with
beat them.
somebody else.
But the other thing is they may be playing for home field advantage.
Who? Oh,
The Buffalo.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
Against
something.
Kansas City. I know Kansas City won yesterday. I don't know if that's been determined who's got home field advantage throughout the playoffs. It might go to Kansas City right now, and so maybe that's not a factor. But I was mentioning it the day beforehand. I thought for sure that the coach from Miami was going to win Coach of the Year. But even Dave saw it yesterday. Man, they started out 4-0.
Yeah.
And then they went 4-4.
I know.
And then they went 9-4.
Right.
And now they're 8-8 or 9 and whatever they are. Right now
Whatever.
they're back to 500 now. I'm like, wow, what is going on? And they were in Miami. It's
Yeah. How do you have those wild swings?
just incredible streaks, just back and forth.
So, what was I going to ask? Oh, so the next week's game is where?
It's in Buffalo,
Oh, it is.
but it hasn't been determined at the time because the NFL's waiting. I
Yeah.
think they're waiting till tonight's game
Yeah.
to be done and over with, and then they'll decide, okay, does Buffalo and the Patriots, do they play at 1? Do they play at 4? Do we put it on Sunday Night Football? Is it that enough, or do we wait till Monday? Is it that much of an important game? What other games are important that need to be played? Then they switch everybody around. So where it's going to be played, that's obviously in Buffalo, but when, don't know yet. Could be the Sunday night game. You just don't know. Have to wait for the NFL to come up with something. All right, last do they win?
Yeah.
Because they'll probably play like Buffalo.
Buffalo's another one. We
Kansas
all-
City will get the bye. I think Buffalo might get well, I don't know. They've had to play like Buffalo maybe twice in
But
a row.
Buffalo's lost some games. I mean, we all thought they were going to be indestructible at the beginning, and they're losing games.
Yeah, they are. The Giants are in. They were pretty. The New York Football Giants are in. The Jets are out because they lost. So that's always good.
My
And it's so funny
daughter's-
as watching the Patriots of the standings being in last place all year.
Yeah. In the hunt.
Going
in the hunt.
going
in the
in-
hunt.
but going to the last week, they're now in second place. He just jumped over. And the Bucks are in. We have the exact same record, and the Bucks are in first place.
God.
I can't believe they actually got to 500.
Well, the East is this. I mean, this has always been a good division.
Yeah.
And
The NFC South, not so good.
no.
And Tom had to come back again in yesterday's game for the Bucks to win. So they're still playing okay. All right. Last week, Dave handed me this sheet, and he said, "Joe, here you go. Bring this up on Coffee and it's and they do it. Our news organization does it at the end of the year all the time. Here's all the famous people that have basically passed away in 2022." And I'm thinking to myself, I didn't tell Dave. I said, "Oh, it's so early. This was Tuesday of last week, so it's around the 26th."
Yep.
And I go, "There's still a week to go." And Pele died.
Right.
Barbara Walters dies.
Yep.
The Pope dies.
Pope dies.
They missed all three. And Dave tells me a Pointer sister died.
Yeah, Anita, the second to the
Yeah.
last.
I'm like-
Only Ruth is still alive now.
Wow. So it's like,
How many Pointer Sisters were there?
weren't there
Four.
four? Oh, okay. I'm like,
Well, originally 3, but it got to be 4.
and I said, you missed all these big names.
Yeah. Yeah, they're all dropping at the end of the year.
This thing should come out around the 30th, or if we missed one on the 31st, well, sorry about that. But I guess Pele was sick.
Yeah, he was great.
Was Barbara Walters sick? Or
I hadn't
no?
heard a word about her,
No.
so she was just aged.
Okay, and I don't like to laugh at the Vatican, but the Pope Benedict, not Benedict,
Yep.
Francis comes out and says, "Pray for Pope Benedict because he's not doing well."
Yeah.
Okay, the next day the Vatican comes out, well, he's doing okay. I mean, don't worry about it. Next day, dead.
Yeah.
Like, well, you guys are really get your story straight. Is he not well, or is he doing okay, or is he not well? Which is it?
95. No, you're never doing well at 95. I mean, anything can take you. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to. Not that I'm a Vatican watcher, but Pope Benedict broke the ice with his retirement.
Yeah, 600
And-
years.
And but everyone's talking about that now, and I know I've read Pope Francis say stuff in the last 6 months that he's tired, he's ailing. They're pushing him around in the wheelchair, the
Really?
pontiff wheelchair, and he's he hasn't said a word about retirement, but he's getting old too, and so because of that, at the time a few months ago when they were talking about this, you had Benedict, then you have Francis already saying I'm getting old. And they said, essentially, perhaps it's time for the Vatican to end this rule of
Till death.
till death, and perhaps
Oh,
they
put
want
a-
to have a mandatory. I mean, look at Bishop Tobin's leaving. It's
Yeah.
a mandatory retirement age.
So what-
why don't you have a mandatory
for
retirement
popes?
age for the Pope?
What do you figure?
And,
80
it could be 85 even.
Yeah.
but,
75 for the
for the bishops?
bishop, right?
bishops, yeah.
So, because and look at poor John Paul at the end. The last 2 years of his life.
Yeah, that was rough.
It was rough.
Yeah.
So I think they're talking about it now, and I'll tell you, Francis is the kind of guy because he likes to rock
Who would
the boat.
he would implement it.
Who could say,
Sure.
it's time. He says, I'm going to force this discussion because I'm retiring
Yeah.
too, and if he retires, and like I said, the stuff I've heard out of his mouth the past couple of months, he's getting tired, and some of it is you get tired of the politics. That was Benedict. Benedict was not a man to deal with the politics of it, and Francis, it's tough for him too because he came in as a more liberal pope, and and there's factions, and so he's got to deal with that. But I just wonder if Francis might be feeling well enough now to quietly go to the hierarchy of the church and say, we gotta let's revisit this whole thing because I'm going to force my hand and retire. And so what do we want to do about this? And because it's the same problem as Social Security. People are just living longer, and they get the Pope gets the best health care in the world, and you live to be 95, and nobody wants to be doing that job at 94. And so I just wonder if change will be coming.
Well, I don't care for a random. Well, I guess it's not random; it's thoughtfully thought out, but an arbitrary age because everyone ages differently and their
Completely true.
capabilities are different. I remember when Bishop Louis Gelano was forced to retire, 20 more years. He keep his hand in and do anything that he can and substitute for masses or whatever he could. Later on, he got a little bit more frail, but then that would have been his time to retire. So I think that Benedict did it perfectly. Yeah, I can't keep up with this stuff. See ya.
And maybe that's it. Maybe it will just because he opened the door.
Yeah, I'm
and
against
Francis-
mandatory retirement ages
Well-
because you don't know what age is right for which person.
That's true, and every person can handle it differently. But
Right.
but you might be right in that because that door has been opened, we're going to start to see more and more popes.
Or start
retire.
asking at like age 75, okay, can you go for another year? Or should you
Yes,
retire? Or should you retire this year?
75 is pretty young for the pope.
All right,
but-
80.
But whatever.
Yeah. How's your health? You
yeah.
think you can stick this out for another year?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. Okay, we'll ask you in another year. How are things going?
Well, I don't. But I'd hate to get to a point in the church where we've come to in the United States, and I hate that. This is not being political, but with the Supreme Court now, where they're basically, the real hardcore progressives forced Breyer off the court because they were like, "You're old. We're afraid you're going to croak when there's a Republican in the White House, so we got to get you out of here now and get this new justice they just put on." And he didn't want to retire, and he was forced out. And now, Republicans may say the same thing about Clarence Thomas, where he enjoys serving, but it might be, if say a Republican comes in the White House, they might say the same thing. "Hey, Justice Thomas, we love you. We love your decisions, but we want to get you out of here and put another 45-year-old."
Yeah.
And that whole war, begins. And I'd hate to get to that point with a pope, where it's like, "How you doing? How you feeling?" Because there's factions in the church too, like I just said.
Yeah.
You got your more liberal factions, you've got your conservative factions, and you'd hate to have them run over by one or the other faction. But I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it just leave it up to the Pope, because like I said, Benedict was a theologian who was kind of in over his head with the politics.
He was also the smart one. Said,
he was very
I can
sure.
tell things are not good.
Yeah.
Things are getting worse, and I really have to step down.
And he's right.
Give this over to somebody else.
And it's hard, yeah.
All right, break time here on the Coffee and program. More coming your way. Comments and questions can be called in at 766-1240.
What does it mean to be owned by your customers? It means we don't answer to a headquarters in New York or a board of directors in Switzerland. It means we answer to a teacher in Woonsocket, a small business owner in Greenville, a contractor in Warwick. Our customers are our owners. Our owners are our customers. Come join us. Navigate Credit Union.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee in Pawtucket. They're a 62-year-old family business that roasts all its coffee right here in Rhode Island. Founded originally as Excellent Coffee Company, they provide great coffee to food service establishments throughout New England.
You can depend on us for public service. ON Radio.
All right, it's Coffee and here on ON AM and FM. This is Joe Callahan here with Dave Richards and Tom Ward. Nice to have both of them here. You want the good story that I read over the weekend?
Yes.
This is amazingly so. We all know up in Buffalo, they got all that snow right around Christmas time, 6, 7 feet of it. And there's a town up near Buffalo called Cheektowaga.
Okay.
Indian name, obviously.
Yeah.
And people were getting stuck on the highway. The snow was so high, and they were running out of fuel in their cars, which means they're going to run out of heat, which means they're going to freeze to death in the car. There's one guy got out of his car during the storm, younger guy, and was able to make it over to, I believe it was a high school. And he broke a window to get in, like in a classroom. Climbed in, came around to the door, opened the door, propped the door open, and kept going back to the highway, to the road, and getting people out of their cars. Say, "Come with me. We're going to get you inside and get you out of the storm." He saved 20 people's lives.
Wow.
From bringing them out of their cars. We're going to stay in another classroom where it's warm.
Yeah.
We got water. We've got bathroom facilities.
Yeah.
And we've got food.
Shelter, yeah.
Shelter, and we got food in the kitchen. And he left a note. "I'm sorry I had to break your window. I'm not sure if he left his name." They did get him on video, and the Cheektowaga police tracked him down, not because of vandalism, because he broke the window, but to thank him for doing such a wonderful thing of saving these people. They said they were perfectly. You never would have known that the school was broken into except for the broken glass and the busted window. They only used enough food for them to survive. They didn't make a mess of the place. The whole place was neat and tidy when they left. And then when the snow stopped, they just left and went and shoveled out their cars and were able to get home. I'm like, what an amazing story.
Yeah,
That guy did this.
That's the country we know and we like to think
Yes.
we live in, and that's because it's just the right thing to do. It is, but then I suppose he could warm up a little bit, thank God, but then to hoof it back out there and say, "Come on, anybody else? Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. I found
shelter
path to
for us."
safety. Let's go."
And I'm not sure how far the road was from where the school was, but it's still in a raging snowstorm that you got to trudge through the snow to get there. But they're Buffalonians. Is that a word? They're used to it.
Isn't that something? People of a certain age, Dave, remember remember when Woonsocket in '78.
Oh yeah.
When Jerry
Boy, do I
Boulay
remember that one.
diverted the Buffalo crews coming down because we were in such a pickle, and that, like I said, there was no more plowing. It was all
Yeah.
snow removal on every street, and they talked about the fact that only Buffalo has this kind of
Yeah.
equipment.
Well, this
So
equipment.
they came to Rhode Island, and Jerry Mayor Boulay became famous for stopping them at Park Square and saying, "No, here first." And the governor was a bit miffed, I guess.
Garrahy?
Garrahy, because the stuff was supposed to go to Providence,
Providence.
and Boulay was like, "No, right here, let's go." And it was true because it was interesting because I remember later, a week or two later, when they did the actual measurements of the storm, that this area, Woonsocket, Manville had the most inches by a lot, and it was people in Providence all just knew Providence, and Providence got 3 feet of snow, and Woonsocket / Manville got 4.5 feet of snow. It was an 18-inch difference.
48.
Yeah.
48 inches.
Okay, well I saw 55 in the journal, but anyway, the
They were listening to Jerry Boulay.
maybe
Jerry,
but the
Jerry
point
had
is-
a way. Jerry had a way with facts.
But the point is, there was a significant difference between northern Rhode Island and Providence, and then southern Rhode Island, which had 8 inches of snow on the shore. And Andy Palmer they had nothing on Martha's Vineyard, and Andy Palmer was pissed off. He was angry because, when Drew called him and said, "We can't put the paper out for a couple of days," and they had never missed an edition.
Yeah.
And Andy was like, "What are
What
you
are you talking
talking
about?"
about?"
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. But then he finally helicoptered back about 4 days later and said,
And he
"Oh,
realized they lost one of their call carriers in Uxbridge.
that's right. That's right. I remember that."
And everything got into a better focus after that. But
Yeah.
from his point of view at the time, it certainly looked like they weren't trying hard enough.
Right. That's right. From down in
Back
down in
then,
Martha's Vineyard.
it was 16 millimeter film that was trucked down or snowmobiled down to the TV stations. So even the TV stations didn't have the full story.
Right. Right. So anyway, to just get back to the point, Jerry Boulay was, waved him into Woonsocket, and they got started in Woonsocket, and then the governor came down on a helicopter to see what was going on.
Where are my bulldozers?
But where are my bulldozers? But I think at that point, even the governor saw Woonsocket and said, "Oh, I didn't realize
How bad it was."
that much worse here."
All right. But I bring that story up of what happened up in northern New York, upstate New York, for
I did hear
for a good story.
I did hear separately as a sad story is that there were people going door to door looking for homes, and people were not letting them in. A lot of people were saying no, and I thought, well, that's changed. That's a new, worse America.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't let someone in a storm like that. I mean, that, to me, it's how could you not do that? But I don't know the neighborhood,
Right,
whatever
right.
fear. But I am passing judgment. It's like, come on. At what point do you say, I don't know who you are, but you can't stand out there. Get in the house. I don't know.
No, I hadn't heard that story.
And there was a lot of power loss too, because
Well, yeah.
because we never lost power here in Woonsocket.
No,
which
never
was
did.
miraculous.
All right. The other bigger story. This happened because of the Southwest fiasco over Christmas. There was a swim team out of Attleboro. I don't know if you heard about this. They had plans to go to Alabama to practice and have meets and things like that. And also, it was all part of the Olympic trials and like that. And they couldn't fly down because Southwest canceled their flight. So they booked a bus.
Yeah.
Cost them $25,000 one way, and 25 hours to get to Alabama.
Right. Dedication.
I'm like, wow. I don't know
Charges
how they.
that much for a bus. You gotta call Peter Conway and ask him what that's about.
I don't know, but that's what they had to pay. That's what was reported. That
Well,
they
then
had
the
to
bus
pay.
had to dead head back to
It's
Attleboro.
gotta get
Attleboro,
back. Right,
yeah.
right, exactly. It's gotta come.
So
back.
there's an awful lot of gas tolls and
Staying over.
Just think of the overtime for the driver.
Yeah.
No, you're right about I didn't even think about
But people
that.
say,
They had
well,
to stay in
why
a
don't you
hotel.
just
I don't know if they did. But
why don't you just skip it this time? They said, well, it's got to do with trials and getting on the team, and
That's
this is when
right.
it was taking place. We had to be there.
Right.
It had to go. It's like, wow.
You miss a portal.
Yeah, and I don't know how this group had 25,000 okay to fork over to this bus company to bring them down there, unless they said, well, here's 1,000, we'll pay you 1,000 a week for the
probably
next
had some
next year or so.
benefactors, either business owning parents
It
or
could
something.
be that. Or we could be seeing a lot of bake sales in that world for the next while or so.
Why are the pies $100? It's better be
They
great
do that,
apple
by the
pie.
way. I know people that do that. They hold
what?
pie auctions.
Okay, yeah.
And they happen in the spring, and they're for charity. And people will donate pies. And over the course of years, certain pies from certain bakers, like Mrs. Campbell does a really great raspberry pie, right? And so it'll bid up. And it'll be $125, $200, $300
Really?
for the pie.
Wow.
Everybody's winking and nudging because
Yeah.
it's really all about the charity, But it's also a way of complimenting different bakers, and then people will donate more pies, and it's a pie auction, and they raise in 5 figures.
Okay. Hope the pie tastes good.
I haven't
One
seen
afternoon,
in a- haven't seen
a
one in
whole bunch
long-
of pies.
I haven't seen one in a long time, but you're right. I remember those pie auctions.
Yeah.
I went to, I covered one once because it was a lot of fun. This is going back 30 or 40 years now. I think it was pre-Breeze. I think I covered it for the call. But it was a lot of fun, and you're right. It was just we know the pie's not worth $100,
Right.
But you're going to give $100 anyway, so you make a big fuss over Mrs. McGillicuddy's pie,
Sure.
and you pay. But it was fun.
With the new year it's turning over, we are now up to 18 municipalities in the Ocean State that have now banned single-use plastic bags. Dave hates that term, by the way,
Well,
because he
They
reuses
gotta-
his
I-
plastic
I-
bags.
and
I
I-
think everybody does.
Go ahead, Dave. You tell your story first, and
well,
I'll agree with
it's
Dave.
another Dave rant for something Dave can't do anything about because it's done.
Yeah.
We've lost. But the whole idea of a term, and this is where I would really take people to task on that. The whole idea of a single-use plastic bag is like saying military intelligence to me. You just come on. There is no single-use plastic bag that I'm aware of. There is the sleeve they put the newspapers in the morning that's open on both ends. That's not a bag because one end is got to be closed for it to be a bag. And Tom's saying to himself, what do you mean both ends are open?
Yeah, they're
Well,
open. They're closed on my paper in the
No,
journal.
they're-
Mine's the journal. I don't know.
No. You pick it up and it comes.
No,
You
I
pick it up by the
understand it is-
knotted end and it falls out the other end. I'm sorry, that's happening over and over again for me.
Okay.
So I don't consider that a bag. I consider it a sleeve, and they forgot to tie the other end. So anyway, but this stuff that they give out at the stores that you take your home, and I'm really big on recycling and reusing. Always have been all my life. And I just got to tell you that I can carry more groceries a lot further upstairs through doors and stuff like that in those little stupid plastic bags than I can in paper bags.
Oh, they're an improvement over paper bags, no doubt.
Oh
about it.
my gosh,
No doubt
yes.
about it,
And so you can carry much more, and sometimes they double bag it, and I say, well, don't double bag. I'm good with just one. But the fact is that a year from today or yesterday, not only will the 18 communities in Rhode Island have bag bans, but there's also going to be a statewide bag ban. And I'm telling you right now, since that news came out a year and a half ago, we've been hoarding plastic bags. The ones we don't reuse, we are stuffing in other plastic bags, and we are putting them in boxes and closets because I want to be able to. We use them, oh, come on, just give me 2 minutes, and I can tell you 20 different uses for those plastic bags. We use them to line the small trash paper
bags, yeah.
cans. Right, because they're small like that. We use them to put wet shoes or rubbers or something like in. Something that's wet that you have to put some. Well, gosh, it's just over and over and over again. There's reuses for these bags. I mean, if I'm out at a parade, like 4th of July is a rain or shine parade in Cumberland, we always have them in the truck so we can put them over the cameras.
Yeah, you need something.
So I'm just saying, a single-use plastic bag, shame on you for calling them that.
What do you want to say about it, Tom?
No, I just I throw them in the back seat of my car because I do Meals on Wheels deliveries, and I have most people you're handing them this stuff. They see them all the time, but there are a few people you don't. I keep the bags in my pocket, and you'll knock on the door. There's nobody there, and then you put them in one of those bags and you hang them on the doorknob or something, and because they really and then I had a couple of clients who wanted. They were like, can you just leave it in a bag on the door and knock? And because it took them a long time to get to the door. They didn't want to hold me up. So yeah, there's uses for them. And we do the same thing. We do our little bathroom cans in our bathrooms. That's what we line them with because they're the right size.
Right.
This
So
They're just
for
being
the
nice,
sake-
Tom. They just really don't want to deal with you. So.
I understand that too.
For the sake of a few negligent people, the rest of us are going to have to do stupid things.
Yes.
I'm not happy.
All right. Sorry, Dave. Time for a break on the Coffee and program, and time for the weather forecast, which is being brought to you by Compassion International.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 49 degrees and calm wind. Tonight, increasingly cloudy, overnight low of 32, calm wind. Tuesday's weather, a 70% chance of rain likely after 11 a.m., patchy fog, cloudy skies, high of 49. Tuesday night, more rain, 80% chance, southwest winds gusting to 24 miles per hour. Wednesday, rain continues to be likely, 70% chance of rain with mostly cloudy skies and a high of 57. Thursday, 50% chance of rain, cloudy skies, and 38. Friday, high of 38, a chance of snow before 1 p.m., and then mixing with rain in the afternoon. The chance of precipitation Friday is 50%. And next Saturday, mostly sunny with a high of 40 degrees.
Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street under partly cloudy skies, we have 39 degrees. Families in poverty are facing a global food crisis. $50 provides a food kit to feed a family for a month. Just text the word radio to 97646.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Woonsocket's newest antique store has doubled in size. Passed Down in Time now has more room for you to browse their unique gifts, Crossroad candles, old books, and many other vintage objects and collectibles. Passed Down in Time is directly across the street from Woonsocket City Hall on Main Street. Stop in and say hi to Cindy Wednesday through Saturday. Passed Down in Time invites you to discover the wondrous items that await you. Come in today. Passed Down in Time.
Hi, this is Gary Smith. Join me for Do You Remember, Tuesday through Friday mornings at 9:30 here on ON Radio.
All right, it's Coffee and here on ON, AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here, along with Tom Ward and Dave Richards. Just keeping on the whole single bag thing, plastic bags that Newport has busted out. And I love this. Okay, it's going to be a law next year. We can implement this next week or next month. We need a whole year in order to order paper bags to get here. But anyway, did you notice or have you guys noticed if you go to, like, let's say, just we use the grocery store as an example, when they had the plastic bags, they shoved as much stuff as they could fit into the plastic bag, and said, "Here you go."
Yeah.
With a paper bag, they place in like 3 items and say, "That's good enough."
Yeah, yeah.
So you're using more paper bags.
Right.
And I'll take stuff off
Yeah,
the
so
off
what
the
do you
counter.
gain?
I'm like, there's half a bag left to go here.
Right.
This can go in. This can go in. This can go in. This can go in.
And they
I
put
said, why are you doing
my
this?
brother John chimed in, by the way.
Yeah.
He said, don't ever think today's paper bags are the same as the 1970s.
No, they're not.
And boy, I
That
think
was I was almost cardboard back in the 70s.
yeah, that was
Well, sure.
Yeah, they got the good scissors to cut it.
Well, have you ever? It's the thing I listen. If you ever watch an old episode of Perry Mason, yeah, we probably all do at one time or
Yeah.
another.
All right.
Because they're on TV. Just look at the paper they hand to it. Like, what's her name?
Stella.
Stella will be passing the paper on to Perry in court or
Good
at the
cardstock.
Oh my God, the stuff is like try to bend that, and I thought, my God, just because I know paper and you know paper, you work with it all the time. The paper from Perry Mason's era and the paper from
doesn't
today,
flop
it
over.
doesn't do that.
It doesn't flop over.
It's
It
all
stands up on its own.
It's not quite cardboard, but you can tell. I mean, it's not like special for TV.
Yeah.
Because I remember thinking, you know what? It hit my memory. I said, I remember when paper was like that. I
Yeah.
remember when paper, and it is not like that anymore. And it's remarkable. It's a huge difference.
I remember being in school, they passed out what they actually called math paper.
Yeah.
And you could actually still see the wood chips in the paper.
Really.
They didn't really cut down enough of the tree.
I was
on
too
this.
busy smelling it and passing it back.
That's
when it went on
the
the
mimeograph machine.
You did get it. You had to pass them back.
I was like,
And then you pass them back. They smell so good.
everybody did that.
Yep.
All right. Other things that are going on. We had a guy from New England allegedly make a trip to New York City to attack the cops at Times Square with a machete.
Oh, I read about the
The
attack.
machete. He's from
Where's-
Wells, Maine.
Oh man.
And now they're looking at it as a possible terrorist attack because what they do is after they grab you, they find out who you are.
yeah.
They go to your social media, see what have you been posting.
Right.
And he's talking about radical Islam, and
Yeah.
everybody's got to everybody has got to become a Muslim,
Is
or
he?
else you're going to be
Okay.
killed.
So
And-
he's Muslim himself, or
Well, he's got a very anglicized name. It's like Tristan Johnson or something like that.
Okay.
He hasn't moved over to what your
Yeah.
Islamic name will be.
okay. So I'm
Yet.
saying, was he raised as
Doesn't say. I think
don't
he's
know.
converted.
Okay, he's converted.
He's 19,
okay.
so he's probably just got
Yep.
converted over.
Yep, yep.
But I don't know what's in the mindset of okay, I'm going to go down and kill a few cops. How does this correlate into more people
Well,
becoming
he looked
Muslims?
around Wells, Maine, and he says, "There's not going to be any big parties here, so I got to go
Gotta
where the
go-
people are."
Well, that's right.
Why'd you rob?
Because I've
banks?
been to Wells,
'Cause
Maine, and it's beautiful there, by the
Yeah.
way. It's right on the water.
Said Willie Sutton, why do you rob banks? Because that's where the money
What he
is.
is.
Why do you do a machete attack in New York Times? Because that's
That's
where
where all
the
the cops
people
are. But the mayor of New York met with the cops, and they're all going to be fine, by the way. And he's okay. He was shot. I think shot in the shoulder, and so they got him. And the cops said, it's part of the job. Unfortunately, it's part of the job. And it's weird because since 9/11 and things happening in Times Square, it's a huge security thing.
Oh, yeah.
Only
all
3 ways
around
to
it.
enter.
That's right.
And you got to be checked, and you can't
Yeah.
have an umbrella because that could be a weapon.
Yeah,
And it was going
It
to be
was for
pouring
James
raining.
Bond.
that's right.
Yeah. It's going to be pouring rain, and they said it right out in the special announcements. They said, by the way, figure out how to stage ride without an umbrella because no umbrellas will be passed by the checkpoint.
Well, Planet Fitness was passing out all those swell-looking hats. So.
Oh, really?
Well, they're a big sponsor of the Times Square ball drop, so
Boy,
yeah,
that's,
all the purple and black hats were being passed out.
Yeah, you're right though. That's a mess because
I just don't get it.
Why?
If I kill these cops, that'll make people want to join the Muslim religion. I don't see how the two
I don't see that
go together.
connecting. Yeah.
That's what happened in
So Wells, Maine,
yeah,
on the map.
it's right just below Algonquin, I think, just past Bar Harbor. No, it's not. Bar Harbor's way up. Portland is what I'm thinking of. All right, the
But
other
when you talk to people of the Muslim faith who are not radicalized, and you talk to them about it,
are they embarrassed?
well, first of all, they're extremely gentle and thoughtful people in my experience. I haven't actually
met any that have been radicalized, thank goodness. But it was suggested to me in low tones and not any kind of an accusatory thing. They said every group has their factions. And he says, we do not agree with radicalized Muslims, just like you don't agree with, well, we were just talking about Jim Baker and Tammy Faye Baker. And
Jim Baker's birthday today. Yeah.
and people who use religion for political means
Or personal means.
or personal goals. For us, the religion's a way of life, not a means to get something. So, and I said, boy, there's a big parallel there with the good Christian folks I know.
Mm-hmm.
And so point taken. There's Christians that we kind of wish they weren't calling themselves Christians. And there's Muslim folks wish weren't calling themselves Muslims.
Yeah, it's the same everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with the Muslim religion. There's like
All right.
nothing wrong with the Christian religion, but, when you get to the...
Just live quietly and do your own thing.
Yeah.
All right, a little closer to home. We had a fire in Bellingham on New Year's Eve.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Dog died.
And a dog died in the fire.
that's
That's a shame. This happened at the Chestnut Hill Condos, which is off Route 126.
It's a beautiful place, by the way.
Is it?
Oh, yeah. A whole bunch of attached houses. And this unit, too, gone.
That total loss. Yep.
Seriously gone.
Luckily, everyone in the condos got out safely, but nearby residents could not return to their condos. High levels of carbon monoxide.
What time did this happen?
Just before midnight on New Year's Eve.
And here's the deal on that. It was quite a stop for the Bellingham Fire Department to get that, because all of the condos are their own separate units. However, there is shared attic space. And what the problem is that they managed, and this is why I called it a good stop in fire parlance. It's the best compliment you can give a fire crew, is if they stop it well before too much is done. But when they got there, the smoke was, as soon as they opened the place up to get to the fire, it was the fire fully involved the apartment. Fully involved. When they went in, the apartment was fully involved. But just that apartment. However, of course, fire is going to go up, and the attic space above is shared by several other units. This is where the carbon monoxide came in, because the carbon monoxide migrated to the other units through the attic and through the proximity of the other units to the place. Once it's up there, you got to tell the people living there it's not safe to be here. You're going to have to find another place. So, but they all got back in on Sunday.
And right now, as they still investigate the fire, according to the state fire marshal, it doesn't seem to be suspicious.
Yeah, they don't
but they're
know
just
the
calling
cause.
it undetermined right now
Well,
as
sure.
they continue to investigate.
Yesterday, they had to go through and see if there was anything that the people who lived there owned that could be taken out and saved.
Yeah.
The fire was over. The smoke had ventilated. The CO2 had ventilated. But the structure itself is a total loss. Total loss.
Right. All right, we're break time here on the Coffee Head program, but more is coming your way. Please stick around.
If you're a person who avoids the dentist because of fear, remember that at the office of Dr. Jeffrey Dodge, they go the extra mile to make you feel at ease. Dr. Dodge believes in good communication between doctor and patient and enjoys educating as well as treating patients. Dr. Jeffrey Dodge, your family dentist on Park Avenue, Woonsocket at Park Square, 762-3044.
Coffee and here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here, along with Tom Ward and Dave Richards. Other things going on newsworthy-wise. This was big over the weekend. They did arrest a man and charged him with 4 counts of first-degree murder for those the murders of those 4 kids in Idaho. They arrested this man in Pennsylvania. He is a Pennsylvania resident, but was attending Washington State University, which is just over the line from the University of Idaho, which is in Moscow, Idaho. And so I'm watching the news conference when it took place, and there they had the guy from Pennsylvania, and they had the police chief from Moscow, Idaho, and they had the prosecutor, all saying we can't really answer any questions because we have to wait for for everything to be unsealed when we get the man back to Idaho. He was still in Pennsylvania at the time. So the first questions start coming out, and the answers are all the same. We can't answer that. We can't answer that. We can't answer that.
Yes,
So
but you heard it here first.
that you couldn't hear.
I saw that too, but he was nice enough. He seemed to be a small town guy. He was nice enough to almost warn him. He's like, "You're gonna start asking questions.
Yeah, this is
I
the
already
stock
know the
answer."
questions you're gonna ask.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty much not gonna be able to answer them. But let's go ahead anyway. And he was.
We're
fair,
going to
right? He
offer you
says-
this chance as a courtesy that
Yeah.
you might ask something that I could answer.
Right.
One of the first questions was, and it was like from NPR out there in Idaho. Is the area safe? That's what they were really concerned about, and they did answer that, and they said yes. This was the one guy
He was safe ever since he left Idaho.
Well, they didn't know he left Idaho. We were focused in on him and his white Tesla, I think, but I'm not sure if it was a white car, and we just had
No,
to
it's a
find him.
white, Hyundai
Was it?
Elantra.
Okay. They just had to find where he was,
Yeah.
and they were keeping quiet about it, and until he was able to be tracked down there in Washington. And the family came out with a statement. Didn't say much.
Family of the guy arrested.
Yes,
Yeah.
other than they said, well, we're cooperating with police, and our hearts goes out to the 4 victims, and that was about it. The one question that I have, and I don't think and maybe they'll answer this question when they open up whatever they have to open up, is what is his relationship with any of those 4 kids? Is there one?
If at all, yeah.
Did they know each other? They haven't answered that yet. I don't think they can just yet. But I'd be interested to know.
Well, they started coming out. First of all, they sound pretty sure they got their guy, and
Yeah.
and now they're going to. And of course, the other thing was, okay, now that we can finally tell you who it was, or who we're confident it was, the floodgates are going to open with people talking. There'll be a lot of people who never considered this guy, and now that they got him, they'll be like, oh, well, yeah, he said or he did this.
They've already
or,
started
you know.
that. They've already looked up, and
Oh, yeah,
now
they-
we're going back to high school.
Yeah.
And they're finding high school classmates. Well, what was it like in high school? Well, he was quiet.
Yeah, they're all quiet. So
Kept to himself.
yeah. So, but there are some classmates now saying who's kind of a know-it-all bully. And,
Yes.
And seemed. It's interesting that here he is getting a PhD in criminal science or criminal justice, and almost like, can I pull off the perfect murder and get away with it? Can I, am I smarter than these guys
Yeah.
because I know so much? And I don't know if that's what's going through his head, but
Could be.
it will be interesting to see, if that plays out. But now that they've got a name, there's going to be a lot of people who knew him, and they'll start talking. Then they'll get through, as you say, they'll go through all his.
It'll be breaking
Facebook
news on
stuff.
CNN for days to come.
Well, because they gotta.
Don't you love
Because
that?
it's not going to happen until tomorrow. Because today's a holiday. Because he's still in
I see.
Pennsylvania.
I see.
Although I think he's waiving extradition, so that'll be the breaking news. He's leaving the
Not-
Pennsylvania courtroom.
Right. Not thinking.
Well, they put
that
him on Southwest, so it could take
He's
another
already
week to get
he's
him
already
back.
announced he's waiving extradition.
That's right. But here he is leaving the courthouse, or leaving the jail cell. Here he is going on the airplane. All right. Here he is landing in the airplane.
Yeah,
Here
yeah,
he is
exactly.
being brought to
Breaking news.
Idaho State Police Headquarters.
Cell phone footage of him sitting in the plane
Yes,
in
even
handcuffs.
having a Coke.
How many times have we seen breaking news on CNN or a news alert? I love the news alerts on Fox, and it's like, you told me that 2 days ago. It's not a news alert. Why do you, it's like, stop it.
Well, here he is in shackles being brought into the courthouse. Here's a police sketch artist of him sitting in the courthouse, and then they'll come up with all this stuff. So yeah, this is as to use a good cliche, it's just the beginning.
I'm so glad I'm out of that life.
And
Breaking news.
yes.
Oh, but yeah.
and he's got a public defender there in Pennsylvania. All right, and he's already come out and said something to the fact he'll be exonerated.
Yeah.
He will be, huh? Oh, okay.
You might be right. I don't know.
Maybe he
You
will
know.
be.
In
So-
fact, we predict he's not even going to stand trial in Pennsylvania.
well, that he can predict. That's right. Okay.
I think he's good there.
So nothing on that today. There'll be no breaking news on that today because he's hanging out in Pennsylvania
holiday.
today. So nothing can be done until tomorrow. So there you go. Other things going on. This is not great. 13 dozen. No, that's wrong. Sorry. 13 bison are dead at being struck by a semi-truck near the western entrance of Yellowstone National Park.
Wow.
How about that?
How'd that guy be going that fast?
News release from the West Yellowstone Police Department said some of them need to be euthanized due to the serious injuries. They often travel during the winter months near paved roads and snowmobile trails, which puts them near the highways. I don't know, so maybe hit 1, 2 that are on the road and they bounce off and hit other
I
bison.
mean, a lot of Yellowstone is
No.
closed. I don't.
Well, what do you think, Dave? How do 13 die?
I'll tell you, when I was trained to be a truck driver, they said, you look down the road as far as you can, you try to take evasive action. If something is in the road in front of you, don't even hit the brakes. Take your foot off the gas, but don't even hit the brakes, because you'll have animals dead, and then you'll have a human dead too, because when that truck tries to stop really fast, bad things happen with the load, with the truck itself, and then with you. And you're going to end up hitting the doggone thing anyway, unless they get out of your way. So if they've got a whole cluster of bison in the travel lane, straight across just like that,
You're just going to run right through them.
at 65 miles an hour, which is the prevailing speed on the roads up there, at 65 miles an hour, you're going to hit over a dozen of them before you stop.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
but do not slam on the brakes, they said. Do not slam, and they just beat it into you when you're being trained as a truck driver. That it's a shame, it's a tragedy, but you didn't set it up that way. You're not doing anything wrong, but you have to stop further loss of life, like for you.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's.
But you do slow down? You know, I mean, just don't
Well,
stop.
you take your foot off. You
gas.
don't accelerate
Yeah.
anymore, but you have to slow down moderately.
Right, you have to slow down gradually.
Right.
Otherwise
Don't be hitting the brakes, because then your load shifts, and then
Yeah,
everything
the
goes
jackknife and
wrong.
all the rest.
And imagine how many bison could have been killed if the train, not the train, I'm sorry, if the,
The
truck
tractor.
jackknifed,
Yeah, and fell on them, yeah.
and now was wider and still going 60, 55, 50 miles an hour down the road sideways. And then the truck driver gets killed and the load gets lost and everything else. I'm sorry, it's a hard lesson to learn, and yet we're taught that when you're taught to drive a truck.
All right. Well, we have our first official homicide in New York City for 2023.
That didn't take long.
No, New Year's Day. And it happened because there was a fight over a parking spot.
Oh,
Well,
no,
doesn't that make
that's
sense?
a good reason. Yeah.
Well, it's New York City, and they're at a premium right there. So it happened on New Year's Day in a section of the Bronx. New York Post reports 63-year-old Sergio Garcia and a 38-year-old woman were stabbed in front of a building. Garcia was later pronounced dead at a nearby hospital. The woman was listed in stable condition. Law enforcement source says the pair was involved in a parking dispute with an unknown group of individuals. There were no immediate arrests.
Wow.
That's too bad, huh?
Well, the good news is gun control seems to be working in New York City. We're down to machetes and knives now.
Oh, gosh. Ouch. Can't disagree, but ouch.
Well, you're right about that, Tom. All right.
Just a thought. Man.
All right, a woman is settling her civil rights lawsuit against the restaurant chain known as IHOP.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Please, fill us in. The
Lisa
details.
Hines, who is a black woman, claimed in a lawsuit that she was told by an IHOP manager at the downtown Los Angeles location that she would have to pay her bill before her food was served.
Well, that's interesting.
The plaintiff alleges that she and her husband went to the eatery on April 29th, waited about 15 minutes to be seated, even though the restaurant was not busy. Hines was the only black person in the restaurant and did not see other customers being asked to pay first. When the plaintiff asked the manager why she was being required to do so, the manager allegedly said it had to do with a shift change. The manager's explanation did not make any sense to Hines, who believes she was treated differently because she is black. The lawsuit, which settled last week in LA Superior Court, statement from the pancake chain of IHOP says, quote, discrimination has no place in our restaurants, and we strive to make every IHOP welcoming to all. Does not say how much she got, though, in the settlement. I'd like to know how much they actually settled on.
A tall stack.
You're like Kramer's free coffee for the rest of your life. You got it. Free stack every time you come in. Is that 3 or 5?
The 5 tall stack.
Look at the tall stack of pancakes. I'm sure it has something a little more to do with money.
Listen, I mean, making jokes. Obviously, you don't want to see that happen. It's ridiculous. But I don't know.
It's incomprehensible to me in this century.
It is.
That you would ask someone to do this?
Exactly. It's like, what are you kidding?
That people would actually think that way and do that sort of thing.
Well, right.
I can understand someone thinking that it was happening to them because circumstances can give you a particular illusion, but I can't imagine. It's just beyond me that someone would think that way.
Right.
Okay.
To do that, and they're in a position of authority, and they should realize that they'll be called out on this, even if they're tempted by some awful character trait.
No, I mean, I think you put it perfectly. It's like, who thinks this way anymore?
Right.
And apparently some do.
Well, you can think that way, but who thinks you're going to get away with it?
Well, even that. It's
Or maybe they have gotten away with it in the past and hadn't worried about it. I've done this with others, and nothing's ever come of it. So I don't know. And some people do ask for the check. Bring the check when the food comes, because they're in a hurry.
Right, they're in a hurry. Yeah,
but that's different. No. Here's the check before the food arrives. No, I've never seen that
new.
done. All right, so just something else going on there down at IHOP. All right.
Although I gotta, all right, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here just for a minute.
All right.
Because the California is crazy, frankly, and their judges and their rules are crazy, and they're letting people in the San Francisco area, now steal up to $900 a day.
This is L.A. though.
I know, but this is happening everywhere. But it's not in an ordinance the way it is in San Francisco. But all these smash and grab robberies and all this kind of stuff. Now I don't know what that IHOP has been going through, and like Dave, I can't imagine someone sat there and said, "This person's black. I'm going to make him prepay." That's just how dumb is that? But have they had experience where people? Is this something new going on in LA where people are simply bolting on dinners and stuff, and they're just like, and now the manager's under pressure to bring revenue in, and it's like, well, I'm tired of getting burned by these people who order, eat.
You lose
go.
it when it's coming out of your paycheck.
And something like that. So I don't know. And that IHOP response is exactly a corporate response.
Well,
That's exactly what they're going to say. But in the background, they might be like, we are so sick of dealing with this stuff. But that's the corporate response. So I expect that. But so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Because I read about a new thing this weekend. The newest thing in places like Starbucks are all the places where you put in an order on your app, and then you just go and pick up the bag, and it's all ready for you.
Yeah.
And
I always thought that was problematic.
Well, it's happening now. People are just walking in off the stuff, grabbing a bag and walking out. They don't know what's in it. It's like potluck. It's like, but they're grabbing in. They're just like, they grab a bag and they walk out. I see it all.
So now you show up looking for your order. It's not there.
That's
right.
right.
No, you came in and picked it up.
That's right. Yeah. And it's like, well, where's my order? Where's my stuff? And go to the tape, go to the video, and look, a guy came in and took it and walked off. And apparently this is a new thing. So now there's going to have to be another level of security or something on these drinks, because people are just walking off with them. And it's like, oh my God. I mean, I should have thought of it. You said you thought of it. It didn't even occur to me because I don't do it that much. But I happen to go to Starbucks usually on a Saturday morning to read the paper, a couple hours. So I've seen it now, and I've seen that particular store has changed completely, because it used to be people walk in and you got your drink right there and off you went. But with these apps now, it's like you walk into the store, it might be empty. Not many people are hanging around the store anymore. And which I'm happy for, because I get to. The Lincoln store is now not set up for that anymore. There's really virtually no tables. It's a pick up and go. And so you go in there, and I can't believe how busy they are. But they'll be at any time 20 drinks. People have on the app. They're 15 minutes, 10 minutes from the store. They hit the button. It pays. The money goes in. They're getting prepaid. You know, the order goes in. The money goes in. And the drink gets made, and they get there, and they just pick it up. They walk in, they pick it up, and out the door. It's got their name on it, and off they go. But now that we've brought this up, yeah, I mean, what would stop anybody from just walking in there saying, oh, that's nice and pink and bright and cool looking. I think I'll take that one. Who's going to stop them? Nobody.
You know, I saw that over the weekend too, making some returns at Kohl's, and they have racks and racks of people that have ordered stuff online, and I'm, you know, because I'm standing in line to do returns, so I'm just taking a look. Well, how does this work? And the sign's up. You go and you type in a number in the app that says you're there,
Right.
and then you find your item, and then you just walk out. I'm like, well, you can just pretend to hit anything into your phone.
Unless there's a lock on it or something.
There weren't any locks on those bags that are on the racks.
Yeah.
So, but then again, it's potluck. You don't know what you're picking up.
Yeah. Right.
Now,
exactly.
Little Caesars Pizza, I think that's the chain. They have a hot box out front with slots.
Yeah, they have, but they're locked.
They are, and you use your cell phone
To unlock it.
To unlock it.
Lowe's does that too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
and
a smarter
I saw
way of
those,
doing
I
it.
saw those in Target too. They're like lockers, so at least it's locked. You know, it's out there for you. But you know,
All right. Well, it's potluck for the drinks at Starbucks, huh?
I guess so.
All right.
Well, it's the I'm thinking the more because stuff's not cheap anymore. What's
Yeah.
what's the you know, Chipotle and stuff. You know, you can have $30-$40 in that bag.
Yeah.
And so just off they go.
Oh, wow. All right, we come to the end of the program, so we
As
want
long
to
as
thank
it's
you.
under 900, you're all set in San Francisco.
Right, exactly.
We want to thank you for listening in, everyone. Dave Richards, thanks for stopping on by.
Hey, great being here with you guys today. And Tom, you're going to be back again this month?
Yes, I'm
Good.
around.
Look
till
forward to
January.
seeing you in 2 weeks.
We have another baby coming this month, probably.
Oh, cool.
But
Mazel
but
tov.
we'll be around. So if my daughter happens to hit it on that Monday morning, then I could be in trouble.
Well,
but
speak to her about that, will you?
Yeah, I will try. I will try. They usually don't listen.
All right, Tom Ward, thanks for coming in. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much.
All right, this is Joe Callahan. Have a great day, everyone. Stay tuned. We do have At the Library with Leslie Page and Food First with Karen Zangari next on ON Radio. Tiki Bar tonight at 6.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. The Massachusetts Recreation